Good afternoon and welcome to TVM News. Today is Friday, November 2nd. I'm Tatiana Tell.
And I'm Stephanie O'Malley. This week we'll tell you how Mid-Valley is honoring the memory of a group of students.
We also have updates on the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting.
And we'll check in with TVM sports anchor Justin Kaharski to find out the latest in Marywood sports.
Marywood's signature landmark has a new addition. I was there to check it out. I'm standing underneath the arch at Marywood-University where a new Marywood seal was just put in. Marywood's memorial arch has a new addition. The bronze version of the university seal was added underneath the arch to acknowledge its 116th year standing. Students at Marywood are taking appreciation to the new addition.
I think it was good that Marywood added the seal on the arch because it looks good and it shows how we care about the front of our school and how it looks, and tourists that come in and take pictures of it makes it look good for everyone.
This way people can take nice pictures, and it kind of shows like what Marywood is, kind of like when you make it new, it shows it that we care about how we present ourselves and we care about like the school and everything like that and the grounds.
The Buildings and Grounds Department hopes to do further renovations to the surrounding area. For TVM News, I'm Tatiana Tell.
A team of 5 Marywood senior physician assistant students recently placed second in the Pennsylvania Society Physician Assistant Conference Challenge Bowl. The contest was held at the group's 43rd annual fall gathering, with 8 schools competing to answer medical questions.
The Office of Military and Veteran Services is partnering with 2 local nonprofits to bring more services to veterans in the Marywood community. Director of Military and Veteran Services Chris Smith says the purpose behind both Equines for Freedom and Warrior Strong is to help vets become more integrated into campus and community life. Programs offered by the 2 groups help treat post-traumatic stress syndrome, or PTSD, and help non-vets realize that service members are an important part of any community.
2 library talks earlier this week focused on the classic book War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I was there to cover the story. On Monday, Associate Science Professor Dr. Christopher Bray gave a presentation on the classic book War of the Worlds in the Learning Commons. War of the Worlds is a novel written by H.G. Wells in 1898, where aliens attack the Earth but are finally taken out by a human pathogen. The Scranton Public Library organized the event as part of Scranton Reads. Scranton Reads is a community reading event that is held annually throughout the month of October. Dr. Bray says he has an interest in human disease and in the book itself.
Whenever I can talk about science, I always like to do that, and especially this topic, human pathogens. I have a huge interest in it. War of the Worlds is a classic book that was published in the late 1800s, and it was one of the first science fiction books. And it basically was where the Martians basically invade Earth. And the only thing that stopped them was a benign pathogen for humans, but it was pathogenic to the Martians. And so the theme of my talk is, can a pandemic occur today? Can a pathogen possibly wipe out the human race?
This was the final week of Scranton Reads. For TVM News, I'm Stephanie O'Malley.
Several cast and crew from Marywood's production of Wonder of the World are being recognized by the American College Theater Festival. Sarah Wagner and Angela Klewitter were recognized for excellence in performing. Tiffany Atkins, Jacob Pepper, and Helena Rankin were acclaimed for excellence in student and alumni design collaboration. The performing students will now compete in the Irene Ryan Scholarship Award auditions, while the designers will enter their work in the Regional College Theater Festival being held next January.
In other theater news, the Marywood Players will perform a 24-hour theater program tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. in the Black Box Theater. The event is open to the public.
Marywood Student Art Therapy Association is holding a First Friday exhibition called Forward Towards Growth tonight. The event will be held from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the basement of the Leonard Theater on Adams Avenue in downtown Scranton.
Loughran Hall became the horrifying halls of Loughran this week to celebrate Halloween. To give students a fright, Lochran morphed into a haunted house with 6 scare spaces filled with specters and 2 hair-raising escape rooms. When we come back, we'll bring you local news, including a new display at the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered. Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
We're lost forever, but you can scan important documents now so they survive.
Whoa. For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in!
Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
Titans go!
When the Teen Titans go to the movies, they know the best way to travel is safely. To keep your child safe, be sure to use the right car seat for their age and size.
Exactly.
Hollywood, here we come! The Atom has arrived! Have a seat, my dude.
For more information on finding the right seat, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Impressive.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Scranton School District delayed the opening of Isaac Tripp Elementary for 2 hours last week after an alleged threat by a student. Police set up security checkpoints at the school's doors and screened 4th and 5th graders' backpacks. Morning preschool classes were canceled, but dismissal was at the regular time. Law enforcement is investigating.
The State Auditor General is demanding to see harassment policies from school districts statewide. The action by State Auditor General Eugene DePasquale came after a sexual harassment claim from Scranton Superintendent Alexis Keerigan was made public. In a June letter, Keerigan claimed she was sexually harassed, endured a hostile work environment, and was discriminated against based on her gender and ethnicity by the school board. DePasquale put the Scranton School District on the top of his priority list, in part because of other school board issues his office investigated. Director Paul Duffy hopes a review of these statewide policies will help Scranton schools move forward.
Mid-Valley School District held a memorial for 8 students who lost their lives almost 40 years ago in a drunk driving crash. Family and friends gathered to not only remember the students who died in 1981, but to also spread awareness on drinking and driving. The Mid-Valley class of 1983 funded a plaque remembering the students, but it remained in class president Larry Holiva's basement for years because officials feared it would revive fresh memories of the tragedy. The plaque is now part of a permanent memorial of the event. Holiva is now executive editor of the Times-Tribune.
After 3 months on the run from authorities for threatening President Trump, Sean Christie pleaded absolutely not guilty in his first court hearing after his capture. In the hearing, Assistant U.S. Attorney Michelle Olszewski called Christie a textbook case for flight and said he was a danger to the community. Christie was returned to Lackawanna County Prison, and a pretrial conference will be held later this month. A trial date is pending the result of the conference.
Convicted rapist Patrick Tighe will get another chance to argue that a judge was wrong to keep him from questioning his victim at trial. Tighe served as his own attorney as the trial assisted by a court-appointed counsel. He was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in state prison for multiple sexual assault charges. Tighe sought to personally question the alleged victim, but prosecutors argued that Tighe's questioning would cause the victim extreme emotional harm. Judge Margaret Bissanani Boyle ordered standby counsel Christopher Osborne to question the victim instead. The state Superior Court upheld Judge Boyle's decision. Teig then appealed to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which has agreed to hear his case.
Wilkes-Barre native and veteran actor James Karen passed away at the age of 94 in his LA home last week. Karen had around 200 movie and TV roles, including parts in Wall Street and Poltergeist. Karen got his start in acting when he was a teen in a play at Wilkes-Barre Little Theater. He is widely known in the Northeast for his commercial appearances for Pathmark supermarkets. Karen was a World War II Air Force vet and appeared on Broadway before moving to Hollywood in 1975.
A new display at the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton International Airport highlights the accomplishments of famous regional athletes. President of the Luzerne County chapter of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, Jim Martin, got the idea 2 years ago. Sports memorabilia will be rotated in a display case on the terminal's second floor near security. Athletes now featured are Baseball Hall of Famers Stan Kovaleski, Football Hall of Famer Charlie Trippi, and pro golfer Art Wall Jr.
Community members in Dunmore came together to bring the joy of reading to area residents. Dunmore High School STEM Club joined with the Book Club and Industrial Arts students to create 4 small free libraries. The students worked with elementary teacher Jenna Urban and high school teacher John Ferris to build the small wooden structures at the Dunmore Elementary School, Sherwood Park, St. Anthony's Memorial Park, and the Dunmore Community Center. These mini libraries hold a variety of books people can take with them and either return it or leave a book of their own. Creating small local libraries is now a worldwide movement.
Lackawanna Heritage Valley Authority will unveil a new trail next year to connect Scranton and Troop. The Marvine Trail project will be a mile-long, 12-foot wide asphalt trail beginning near East Parker Street and Boulevard Avenue in Scranton. It will continue to Boulevard Avenue near Interstate 81 in Troop. Construction should start in late spring or early summer 2019 and be completed before the end of the year. After the break, we'll bring you national news about President Trump's inviting Vladimir Putin to the White House. But first, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Titans go!
When the Teen Titans go to the movies, they know the best way to travel is safely. To keep your child safe, be sure to use the right car seat for their age and size.
Exactly.
Hollywood, here we come! The Atom has arrived! Have a seat, my dude.
For more information on finding the right seat, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Impressive.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
This is a case where if they
Thanks for watching TVM News. President Trump visited the Pittsburgh synagogue that was the site of a shooting last week that claimed 11 lives and injured several other people. Donald Trump said that an armed guard inside the synagogue would have changed the outcome.
This is a case where if they had an armed guard inside, they might have been able to stop him immediately. And maybe there would have been nobody killed except for him, frankly. So it's a very, very difficult situation.
Several groups protested the president's appearance, blaming his rhetoric at campaign rallies and Twitter for inciting hatred of minorities and religious groups. Federal prosecutors have charged 46-year-old Robert Bowers in the killings at the Tree of Life synagogue. He faces 44 various charges, including using a firearm to commit murder and obstructing the practice of religious beliefs, as well as hate crimes. The victims range in age from 54 to 97. According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents in 2017 rose nearly 60%. The shooting is thought to be the deadliest on a Jewish community in the U.S. history. Bowers pleaded not guilty yesterday.
The Florida man arrested for allegedly sending mail bomb packages to prominent Democratic lawmakers, donors, and CNN has been charged with 5 federal offenses. 56-year-old Cesar Sayoc has apparently been plotting his scheme since July, according to federal prosecutors. Officials say that they reached that conclusion after searching Sayoc's laptop and other electronic devices. He faces up to 48 years in prison on charges ranging from threats against a president to illegal mailing of explosives. FBI Special Agent Sean Reagan said they are not sure if there are more bombs.
That's a concern of ours, that there may be other packages. We don't know. We don't have evidence of that, so to speak, but obviously we want postal carriers and the Postal Inspection Service and Postal Service to be on the lookout and using all the precautions that they normally do. And we want the public to be engaged and to call us if there's anything suspicious that they either witness or that they see on their own or hear about. We need that information because it's an active investigation, an ongoing investigation, and we're going to be following up on all leads.
Sayoc's targets were frequent critics of President Trump who were often singled out for harsh rhetoric by the president at campaign rallies. Prosecutors also impounded a white van of Sayoc's, which was plastered with pro-Trump and anti-Democrat images and stickers.
Several different migrant caravans are now en route to the U.S. by way of Mexico, prompting President Trump to escalate his calls for active-duty military troops to deploy at the border to stop them. The president has called for 10,000 troops to support border and immigration officials to control what he calls an invading horde. Trump said that none of the immigrants will come into the U.S.
Our military is out. We have about 5,008. We'll go up to anywhere between 10 and 15,000 military personnel on top of Border Patrol, ICE, and everybody else at the border. Nobody's coming in.
The immigrants largely come from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Trump has used the caravan as a rallying point to energize his political base to vote in the next week's primary elections. Observers think Democrats have the opportunity to flip control of the U.S. House of Representatives to them.
The ashes of murder victim Matthew Shepard were interred at the Washington National Cathedral last week. Shepard was the gay man who was robbed, beaten, tied to a fence, and left to die 20 years ago in the Wyoming town of Laramie. Shepard's murder in 1998 brought awareness to the dangers and discrimination faced by LGBTQ individuals. It also served as a catalyst for advances in gay rights over the past 2 decades. Advocates now feel that progress is threatened by the Trump administration and the polarizing political climate in the U.S.
Prior to Shepard's interment last week, members and supporters of the transgender community held a vigil in Washington to protest the Trump administration's most recent action on transgenders. The New York Times is reporting that a leaked memo outlines a plan to narrow the definition of gender to a biological, immutable condition determined by genitalia at birth. Such a move would roll back protections and recognition of transgender individuals. Those protections were added by the Obama administration in a series of decisions that angered certain groups like evangelical Christians. Evangelicals make up a critical part of Trump's political base. Earlier, the president sought to ban transgenders from serving in the military. That action has been blocked by a federal court.
The Trump administration wants Russian President Vladimir Putin to come to Washington. National Security Advisor John Bolton extended the invitation to Putin at a meeting in Moscow. Fortune magazine says the invitation is for sometime early next year and would involve a full day of consultations. Trump and Putin are scheduled to meet later this month in Paris at events commemorating the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I.
The president of Turkey is demanding that Saudi Arabia government turn over the body of murdered Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi and let Turkish authorities interrogate nearly 20 individuals implicated in his death. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said his country is ready to deliver justice in the case since the murder occurred on Turkish soil. Khashoggi's fiancé Hadis Cengiz demanded his body be returned.
I believe that the Saudi regime knows where his body is. They should answer my demand, but this is not only the demand of a fiancé, but a human and Islamic demand from everyone, every nation.
Saudi Arabia admitted the murder took place at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul and dismissed 5 high-level government officials in response.
A woman used a knife to attack kindergartners in southwest China last week. Teachers and guards were able to stop the attacker, but not before 14 students were injured. The woman was only identified as a 39-year-old with the surname Liu. Police say the attack happened in the Banan district of the city of Chongqing in the morning when students were coming back to class from an outdoor exercise. Police arrested the woman after surrounding her and a group of bystanders who were kicking and punching her. All the injured children were sent to the hospital. No word on their conditions was released.
The man accused of a quadruple murder in Washington, D.C. mansion has been found guilty. Darren Wint was convicted of charges of murder, kidnapping, burglary, extortion, arson, and theft. 3 members of the Savolopoulos family, along with the family housekeeper, were killed in 2015, and their home was set on fire. Wint will be sentenced in February.
A man police say was trying to steal a copy of the Magna Carta has been arrested in Britain. The suspect smashed one of the 2 glass screens protecting the document in Salisbury Cathedral before cathedral employees wrestled him to the ground and restrained him until authorities arrived. The man was not identified. The Magna Carta is a document signed in 1215 by England's King John and is called an enduring symbol of the rule of law. The cathedral's Magna Carta is one of 4 originals of the document. It was not damaged.
The U.S. economy is still growing. Last Friday, government officials said the economy grew at an annual rate of 3.5% in the 3rd quarter of this year. While that figure is not as strong as the 4.2% growth reported in the 2nd quarter, it is still the 6th straight quarter with a growth rate larger than 2%. Economists attribute the slowdown to a drop in business investment. Business investment boomed in the 2nd quarter due to the effects of the Tax Reform Act passed by Congress late last year. Up next, we'll check in with TVM sports anchor Justin Kaharski to find out the latest happening in Marywood sports.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Welcome back to TVM News. Let's check in with TVM sports anchor Justin Kaharski for Marywood Sports. So Justin, what's going on with sports this week?
Well, Tatiana, there was a lot of playoff action for the Pacers this week.
Well, that's good. Let's hear more about it.
Men's soccer fought hard in the first round of the Atlantic East Conference playoffs, but came up short against number 3 Wesley College in a 2-1 loss this week. The game went into double overtime when Wesley scored the game-winning goal with 75 seconds left before going to a shootout. The goal ended the game and the Pacers' playoff run. Women's soccer is hosting the Atlantic East Conference title tomorrow at 1 p.m. against number 6 seed Marywood-University. In the first playoff round, the Lady Pacers beat number 5 Marywood-University 4-2, sending them to the semifinals. A header into the net by junior Madison Dashes gave the Pacers the only goal of the game and a 1-0 semifinal win over number 2 Wesley College, sealing their appearance in this weekend's inaugural Atlantic East Championship game. Marywood Field Hockey gave coach Casey Manning her 100th win this week, beating Immaculata 4-2 in the first round of the Atlantic East Conference playoffs. Manning is now the third winningest coach in program history. Despite hitting the century mark for the team's run at the conference title ended 2 days later with a 1-0 overtime loss to Wesley College. Both cross-country teams were victorious this week. Men's cross-country won the first ever Atlantic East Conference championship in any sport and their second consecutive team conference title last weekend. All 6 of Marywood's runners placed in the top 10 in the conference, earning them 22 points to take the title. Standout Pacers were sophomore David Haynes and freshman Michael Kelly, who earned Runner of the Year and Atlantic East Rookie of the Year, respectively. The women's cross-country team won its 14th conference championship in program history and the first in the Atlantic East Conference. This 4th conference championship in a row for the Lady Pacers. Marywood had 4 of the top 5 runners in the race. Freshman Katie Shea took home the title Rookie of the Year and placed second in the race. Marywood's team finished with 26 points. The volleyball team fell short in last night's semifinals of the first ever Atlantic East Conference playoffs. The Pacers took the first set from top seed Cabrini-University 27-25, but the Cavs came back to take the next 3, sending them into the finals. Perry Sheeran led the way with 12 kills and a 140 attack percentage. Sarah Burgos had a double-double with 11 digs and 25 assists. Jordan Vossler added 17 digs. Men's rugby had a tough loss in their final match this fall against Gettysburg College, losing 19-14 last weekend. The Pacers were 1 win short of making the playoffs and finished 1-4 overall. The team competes again this spring in their inaugural Sevens season. Women's rugby picked up their first win at Millersville University last weekend. The lopsided 22-5 victory put Marywood at 1-1 overall. Tomorrow, the Lady Pacers face Shippensburg University at home. The Cleveland Cavaliers fired head coach Teron Liu and named Larry Drew acting head coach this week. Liu was part of Cleveland's coaching staff for the last 4 years, all of which resulted in the Cavs appearing in the NBA Finals and winning the title in 2016. Drew says contract talks are making progress towards him becoming interim head coach. The Cavs are 10-1 with Drew as head coach in 2 previous seasons. They snapped a 6-game losing streak on Tuesday to give Drew his first victory this year. The Boston Red Sox captured their 9th World Series title when they beat the LA Dodgers 5-1 in Game 5 last Sunday. Boston starting pitcher David Price gave up 1 home run on his first pitch but ultimately earned his first postseason win. Boston's offense clinched the win with Steve Pearce's 2-run homer and solo shots by Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez. Pearce's second homer of the night then earned him the World Series MVP title. That's all for sports this week. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Justin. A man allegedly wanted for stealing beer in the UK town of Lancashire has been identified after police surveillance photo went viral. The photo received numerous comments on social media stating that the man looks like actor David Schwimmer. The resemblance provoked many joke references to the TV series Friends, which Schwimmer played Ross. Police tweeted, quote, "Could we be any more overwhelmed with the response to our CCTV appeal about a theft at a restaurant in Blackpool?" They referenced another Friends character, Chandler Bing. Even the real David Schwimmer had some fun with the search, tweeting a video of himself carrying an armful of beer. Schwimmer wrote, "Officers, I swear it wasn't me. As you could see, I was in New York." Police have not released the name of the actual man in the surveillance photo.
Well, I just wonder what these friends think about all this.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of TVM News. From all of us at TV-Marywood, thanks for tuning in.
Be sure to follow TV Marywood's YouTube page and like the TVM Facebook page to stay up to date on the latest happenings and to watch additional content. I'm Stephanie O'Malley.
And I'm Tatiana Tell. See you next week.